Session 4 of Pleasing God. What are some of the things that the world tempts us that are worldly and not godly? And probably the biggest pull is the need to be acceptable. Now, it's seen very strongly in teenagers. They have to conform to the dress code and they have to know the latest songs, they have to have the latest cool gear and so on. We've all been through that. We don't want to feel different, we want to be liked, we want to be accepted. Peer group pressure can lead many young people astray, even if they know that what they're doing is wrong. The peer group pressure is so strong. There's a story of St. Augustine in his book of Confessions where he writes about his wild youth, and he was partying, he was drunk, he was a pretty wild character. But one incident stood out for him, and that was a time when he was with a group of young men and they went into a private garden and they stripped a man's pear tree of all its pears. Now, in the scale of murders and beatings and so on, that's not really a horrendous sin. But the thing that stood out for him was it was senseless. He didn't even like pears. So it wasn't as if he was hungry, it wasn't as if he was lusting after a pear. It was just a senseless group act. One of my colleagues once quipped, it really was a case of peer group pressure. We can easily fall into the trap of just doing it because others are doing it. Much of the world's ways or understandings of the way of doing things, we can just pick it up and do it without thinking. We don't stop to say, why am I doing this? Or why am I doing it this way? We don't have a firm idea of God and what He wants of us, then we'll just do what everyone does. And of course the other issue is we don't like to be seen as different. And so we'd rather go along with what the world says than to stand out by disagreeing or refusing to do something. In the early years in Rome, the Christians were in a very difficult position because a Roman citizen was, when challenged, was supposed to say, Caesar is Lord. But the Christians wouldn't do that, and they'd say, no, Jesus is Lord. And many of them lost their lives because of it. Now, we don't have that pressure on us today, but there are other ways of putting pressure on us. We'll be accused of being ignorant, of being narrow-minded, of being superstitious, even being accused of being hateful because we stick to what the Bible says on a particular subject. The pull to conform is very, very strong. In past, many Christians have wanted to show, no, we live differently, and so they've done it by not dancing or not playing card games. But that's just superficial. To live in the world, but not of it, is to be honest, even when it might cost us something. If you go back to the shop the next day and say, look, you gave me too much change yesterday, they can't quite believe you're real. But honesty is honesty, not just when somebody's looking, but when no one is looking. And the fact that people will question us and say, why on earth would you do that, is a really good opening for us to explain. We don't have any reason to be embarrassed. Every day we're confronted with choices of what to do, and we often just do what everyone else is doing. Or we do what we've always done, rather than stop and think, now what would Jesus do?